Hello guys, welcome back to movie reviews for the sixth and final episode of Series 15. Thank you for joining us, really. Also, sorry for the long delay as well. I've been working commitments. Been a bit tough, really. So obviously, if you wonder why there's been a couple of weeks delay with these episodes, it's just, it just happens, really. So we finish off with a bit of finale, a bit of a bombastic finale in some regards. So the first film we talk about is I Want to Hold Your Hand from 1978. So this is directed by Robert Zemeckis. This is his directorial debut, this is. And it focuses on a group of teenagers who try to sneak into Ed Sullivan's show for the Beatles, really. This is in 1963, 64, I would say. 64, I would say. It's also a Beatlemania, really, in the United States, really. And it's a fascinating look to it, really. And it follows a group of characters, Beatle fans, really. Some not so much, really. One of them wants to just be a journalist and just, try and get an interview, really. One of them, who actually turns out to be, I actually didn't realise, is the actress who plays Marty, and it was actually Marty's sister, who plays this over-excited, bombastic fan who's complete screams a lot and and basically just orgasms and adores the Beatles totally. My God, really, jeez. I mean, I guess I understand from Zemeckis' point of view, filmography, really. I think we use actors, really, for he's worked with before. Same with, what's his name? He plays, Sugar. What's his name? Mark Leclerc. I think it's Mark Leclerc, I think. He plays, he was in Back to the Future as well. He plays the older brother, I think he does. Was he also, I think he's in Superman as well, I'm not too sure. Played Jimmy Olsen, I'm pretty sure. I don't know. Yeah, so he's in this film as well, actually. He played, and then obviously Nancy Allen as well, which I briefly mentioned in the previous episode, really, in Blowout. She was in. So this is another early roles, of course. I actually do think it's pretty good, actually. It's funny as well. Pretty good stuff. Good action. Good use of music as well, because it's old Beatles music as well, especially the early stuff. I think from Please Please Me, and maybe with the Beatles as well. Pretty good use, actually. It's not like a cover band has done it. It's the proper music for the Beatles, really. I mean, the Beatles themselves, they're sort of mysterious figures in the film, really. You see the backs of them, you see the suits, you see the legs and the shoes, really. And the sort of and the tops as well, the hairdos as well, and you have like stuff like fake Liverpool accents and stuff, involving a bit like that. Sort of like maybe I don't know the same use voice actors from Yellow Submarine. I don't know. Maybe some voice impressionists or just some random scousers they picked off the street. I don't know. But it's pretty good, actually. I mean, I'm surprised because I like the Beatles, really. I think they're a great band, of course. But it's interesting to see a film based on Beatlemania, especially in the States, which is interesting. There's only one film I can probably think of is sort of maybe like that, is maybe like, I think of Spike Island, which you probably need to see at some point, actually. But I think it's sort of relevant to that sort of thing. It's relevant of a cultural bit of a cultural thing, like a cultural event happens, and they sort of encapsulate it in a film. Really, because of experience and stuff like that. People probably grew up with that and think, well, I grew up in this time, really, and my experience, I had a good time for about it. But through my escapades of how to get there first, it's probably worth telling a story, really. So you get parallels between them, really. Maybe some others as well. I'm not too sure. But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it for what it was. I forgot the geek guy as well. There's some weird stuff involving, I think this is always still happens to with fandoms, really, these days, really. Music fans, really. Depends on who the music idol they follow, really. But you've also got stuff like, the weird memorabilia involving people selling, these little tiny sheets of mattresses saying that the Beatles have slapped on them. But also the geek guy, I forgot his name. I think his name's Richard, I'm not too sure, has a clump of dirt, which I think has Paul McCartney's footmark in it, and he keeps it in a newspaper and everything else. It's weird. That's very strange. Or they landed, of course, the Heathrow Airport, so I dug this piece of dirt up, and I keep it for myself. It's like, wait, what? Oh my God, Mad Beatles fans, Jesus Christ. I mean, that's something. But also funny. There's some moments as well, like involving the limousine as well. You've also got this young kid as well, whose dad fucking hates his haircut. He's, and takes him to a barber's, and you've also got two people trying to save him as well. One of them tries to think he's been run over by a fucking truck, and think like, well, he's meant to be mangled, but he's like, oh, I've been hit by a fucking truck, and he ends up, just, passing out, and he lands on some gumball machine or something. But I think it's a good film actually. There's, and I thought like, Zemeckis did a good job of it really. For a debut film, directorial debut, pretty good stuff actually. So there we go, guys. Nothing else to say really, but if you wish to check it out, do so actually. I thought it was pretty good. I remember seeing it like on a Blu-ray when I was in Chester, I think, one time. When I went to Chester, down to Chester. I never picked it up really, but it's all come back to me, and then I sort of ended up watching it at some point, and I thought like, this is pretty good actually. And so that's what happened really. So thank you guys for me to talk about I Want to Hold Your Hand. I need to finish the video, and I still got one more film to talk about, which we'll get to now. So, transition. And this film, obviously, is Babylon. The recent Babylon from 2022, directed by Damien Chazelle, who obviously did La La Land, of course. I'm not sure what other films he's done, really. So, people just know him from La La Land, really. So, this takes place in the 1920s, this does. And it's to do with the transition from silent film to basically modern Hollywood, really, with sound, really. And he follows this guy called Manny, played by, was it Diego Torres? I'm not too sure. I forgot his name really. A guy called Manny, this Mexican guy, comes to Hollywood, starts working on pictures, of course, and builds up his rank as a proper director, really. And while in that position, in those early days, he meets an actress called Nellie DeRoy, played by Margot Robbie, this New Jersey girl who is basically completely batshit crazy and absolute nuts and everything else. And it's just, you think, people probably think of Harley Quinn, really. So it has that sort of Harley Quinn edge to it, really. But it's a bit more, I just think if you plonk her in the 1970s, really, for like, part of like a 70s rock band, Jesus, they'll be pretty good, actually. Although her hair and wigs, basically, based on 70s people like Robert Plant's hair and stuff. I remember some behind the scenes stuff about that. I feel like, oh, really? So so it's all wig is based on like people from the series, like, again, like Robert Plant and whatnot. It's like, okay, that's interesting. And we also get people like Jack Conrad, played by Brad Pitt as well, who's in it. You've got Eric Roberts, who plays Nellie Roy's dad, really. Who else is in it? Tobey Maguire's in as well. Flea's in as well. He's actually pretty good, actually, Flea in this film. Well, who else? Not too sure, really. But there's some really good there's some really good characters in it as well. The film itself. So when you watch this film, and open it with a totally different face, because I wasn't sure what to expect really. But watching it, it was totally crazy, really something. I mean, people will probably assume it's like Hollywood just burn millions of dollars and just do this batshit movie, and probably never do it for a while now after this film. I think the style, it's frantic, it's all over the place, and its camera angles, it's very quick. It's like it's like a child on sugar. It really goes on, and it's long. You gotta remember this long. It's maybe like nearly 2.5 hours, maybe nearly 3 hours with this film. I felt like, geez, and it sort of goes on. It's like, Christ. There's still a lot of stuff on it, really. Good character work, some brilliant score as well. That's really good, interesting. I just think, when I look at this film, I think it's having a good time. It's like being to a party, and it's just like, you're just there for about the whole remainder of the night. It's like, you sort of get that, really, in this film. You have moments as well, and it sort of slows down towards the end, really, of course, when she hits the fan, really, and I think Manny and Nellie try to escape, really, but Nellie sort of disappears in the night. She does. She just basically wanders off and goes like, she basically like, I'll wait here. Then she sort of gets distracted, and this bugger just clears off, fucks off the night, really. And he sort of, it's like, oh, the woman's left me now. So ends up getting married. And also, you get stuff like this montage as well. The montage is, I wasn't expecting that really, because people say like, oh, the montage, you know, at the end of the film, it's like, oh, okay. So you basically watch all these bits and pieces. You get stuff like 2001 and well-known movies mixed in with some psychedelic stuff as well thrown in. It's like, oh, okay. So that's interesting. I thought it'd be like all the worldly type thing, of course, like news coverage. Well, they do sort of do news coverage really, but like not stuff like the death, really, of Nero's death and everything else. It's only for newspapers. It's only for like briefly in the newspapers, really. I thought they might try and expose it a bit more, really. I thought like, I wonder how it happened. God, excuse me. But I really enjoyed this. I did. As a film, it's batshit crazy. It's a long party. It's long, but it doesn't feel like that. It just feels like it keeps building. It keeps you taking it takes you different directions as well, and yeah, it's just good. I really did enjoy it. You know, as a film, really. A lot of people probably say it's one of the not best films. People think like, oh, James Jones just has hit shit the fan and basically just. Well, shit. There's a lot of shit hitting the fan. Well, shit hitting the cameras. In this film, a lot of elephant shit. I tell you that. So it's like, blimey, wow. And that's the style of the film. That's just sort of the beginning of the film. It's like, okay, well, okay, we're in different territory then. But I thought it was pretty. I thought it was pretty good, fun, enjoyable, and batshit crazy, very fun, very party-like, just hedonistic, bonkers. Full of itself, too very indulgent, and just waiting until the bomb goes off, really, until everything just again the shit hits the fan, really. And where's this film going to go? That's what happens. So I've been talking about Babylon as well. Also, Hold Your Hand from 1978, Babylon 2022, although it came in the UK earlier this year, really, I think the start of this year, I think, actually. So thank you guys for watching. And that's the end of series 15. Thank you very much for keeping up, really. And yeah, it's been a good time, really. Sorry for the delay about what's happening, but commitments. Yes. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you for the next video.